Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. My name is David and this is my channel. Today I'm going to talk more about law of attraction. I know that we're all very excited about this idea of attracting that world and having everything we want. But there is a missing ingredient that usually goes unseen. So we're going to talk about what that is, and that is the alignment. Alignment is the key to law of attraction. Last night I had a conversation with one of my clients, and she brought up a really good point, this idea of how do we truly surrender to who we are? I mean, we hear this idea that, how do we connect to who we really are? So if we start at the beginning, like Abraham would say, is we did not come into this body from non-physical just with what we see. There's a bigger part of non-physical that is still in non-physical, so to speak, that is working on our behalf. Now, let's talk about that part. We would call that our inner being. We can call it our soul. We can call it our broader perspective. And we, from our focused perspective, is a limited perspective. Now, most of us, as far as I know, don't know what's going to come in even 5 minutes from now. I don't know anything. When I really think about it, it's like, well, what's going to happen? What am I going to say? I don't even know what I'm going to say. I don't know anything at all. So there's a very limited perspective here. I can tell you about my past and how smart I am, and let me tell you about all what I think is knowledge, but it all comes from somewhere else. It all comes from the past. Nobody else agrees with me because no one else has lived my life. So all of that idea of how smart I am from the past, what good is it? I can't really do anything with it, right? And we kind of run into that situation all the time. So true knowledge and wisdom comes from a bigger place. It comes from a place that even I don't know. As a limited perspective, I'm continuously getting information and becoming more and more and more. And we're all doing that all the time. And that comes from that broader perspective. Let's talk about this broader perspective. It can see all, and I recommend sitting with this truth so you can feel the energy release and start to flow. It knows everything. It knows all time. It knows all past, all future. It is connected to everything. Could you imagine knowing everything? Through 3,000 years in the future, it knows everything. I can't say that enough. That we are tiny compared to that bigger, broader perspective that knows all things. But most importantly, it holds a vibration of perfect love. What? You can barely walk out our house without judging something. And this part of us holds perfect love and perfect freedom because it holds that perfect love. It doesn't see differences because it looks out and sees only itself in everything. Could you imagine? Only sees perfect love because it knows it's perfect love. Therefore, it sees it in every single thing. You have to sit with that knowledge, that truth, and feel it inside, because that's the other part of you. That other part of each one of us is perfect love, perfect freedom, perfect joy. Why would it not be joyful? You see, perfect fun and excitement. It loves everything and is connected to everything and knows everything and is all wise. And of course, still growing, still expanding as well. Wow, what an amazing part. So alignment is understanding first that part exists, and second, how do we align with it? See, going back to last night, we were having this conversation about how do we truly surrender to that part of us, that alignment. I hear this all the time. Dave, how do I get into alignment? Meditation's tough for me. I can't seem to close the mind and turn it off. How do I get into alignment? Well, alignment comes from first understanding. And as we're having that conversation, and she brings up a really good point. She says, I'm afraid to let go of who I am in order to surrender that other part. And boy, if I felt that before, sitting with that fear of perfect expansion and then bringing that world back to me and really feeling that love, that's a scary thing, because look, here we're a drop of water. I mean, think about that limited perspective. I don't know anything from this perspective. It knows all. That's a huge leap. That's a huge jump, isn't it? From one drop of water to a whole ocean. Not too big a deal, hey. So it could be tricky. It could be tricky to fully surrender who we are to that other perspective so that way we can align with it. And I totally get that. Now, one of the things that I want to offer is this idea of law of attraction that says I want to attract certain things in my life. Let's say you want to attract money or abundance or prosperity, or you want to attract a relationship or love or companionship or friendship. you see, or maybe you want to attract excitement and adventure. See, Yeshua would say in the Course in Miracles that there's no order of difficulty in a miracle. In other words, you can attract a castle or you can attract a little tiny home or a tent. It feels like it's different to us, but this is the key, okay? Is just imagine that as you live this life, as Abraham says, you are directly connected to this bigger perspective of who you are, always. And as you ask, when you get into contrast and you get confused and you see something, we would call it incorrectly, meaning you're getting negative emotion, that answer is automatically given to your inner being, your broader perspective, which can see it in a much bigger light. Clearly, so it has all the answers and it brings it back to you. Now, as we focus on the problem over and over and over, we can't receive it. We kind of get that a little bit. That clogs up our channel. But that idea of that broader, bigger perspective holding all of those answers, guess what? You can say that it's holding your money and your abundance and your prosperity. As you look at what it's not working in your life and your money and your prosperity, it holds the answer, but it can't get through. It's holding your relationships, it's holding your companionships, it's holding your love, it's holding your appreciation. And notice we're all talking about feeling here. See, feeling gives way to thought, which gives way to manifestation. You don't want to get specific, you want to notice what it's holding as far as feeling goes, as far as broader ideas. So this is the key. Instead of trying to attract specifically, which is incredibly difficult, can be done, it can be done, but it's very difficult. You have a one home base that you can attract from. In other words, that inner being holds everything. If you want health, it holds your health. If you want money, it holds your money. If it wants things, it holds all the things. It holds all the places. It holds everything, everything, everything. There's nothing that it doesn't hold, because when you came in here, it was your provider. Always. You get nothing. You've heard this idea of no attachment from the world. We don't need anything from the world. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Not one person, not one thing. I'm not lying to you. And that's what you have to feel. It is 100% coming from the broader perspective, the bigger perspective of who you are. You could call it the universe because it is everything. That's fine. You could call it God for those that want to call God or Holy Spirit. It doesn't matter. But that is where you get everything. That's where you've always gotten everything, and that's where you always get everything. It holds all things. I can't say that enough. That idea of understanding alignment. Alignment holds health, it holds things, it holds the idea of how you feel about yourself, it holds your feelings and your joy. You even receive good thoughts from it. Everything you've manifested has come from it. Because notice, when you feel good, thoughts open up and you start receiving new thoughts. That's from your inner being. When you're feeling dark, you don't get those thoughts. You cut it off. You see, there is nothing else. And that's what really has to be understood. So now you have one place to go for everything. Wow, how exciting is that? We don't have to go to all these places to try to attract. And that's where it gets confused. I attract money, but then I got to go back to my house. And all of a sudden, looking at my house stops my money from flowing, or my relationship. You see, one-stop shop, guys, one-stop shop. Your inner being, your higher self. Now, like she said, and like that conversation, going back to it is, I don't know if I can surrender to something bigger than myself. A lot of people are very afraid of that idea of a higher power. God outside. We've heard so long about how it judges us and hell and all these things. So it makes perfect sense where all that fear comes from. But I want you to sit with this. And I sit with this all the time. We have two choices. You can either sit, let's say you sit quietly somewhere, and how many times do you look around the world or even just sit in that position, and do you feel special? Do you feel like you're on top of the world? Do you feel like you can move mountains? Do you feel like that the sea would part for you? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you feel like every single thing is just working on your behalf? Do you feel like around every single corner is the most amazing thing? Great relationships, great opportunities, great situations? Probably not, especially if you're watching this video. Does that make sense? That's that idea of what we call the separated self, the ego. Jesus said something really important. He said, you're serving two masters. What is he talking about? You can only serve, and that needs to be understood. There is no in between. We are either serving our inner being, which, trust me, we are. We can push away from it and feel like it's not there. Or we're serving some kind of mind that's telling us to push away from our inner being. There's nothing else. There's no just me. I'm sovereign. Here, boom. You see, we're going to serve because it's one mind. But I tell you one thing, when we let go of that idea and move back into the terms of our inner being and really realize I need to find a way to get back, to raise my vibration, guess what? You will feel like the most special person in the whole world. And you will feel like everything is working for you and absolutely moving mountains and parting seas. These are real feelings, real things, you see? So that idea, just to share with you how I align that idea. One, find that inner being and realize everything that it is, all knowing. Even just sitting with this, trust me, you'll release energy. All knowing, all loving. Wow, what would it be like to look out of the world and just love everything? Wow. Perfect freedom. What is that? I sat with freedom earlier. Is freedom going somewhere, getting out? Abraham would say, don't leave something, go towards something. Oh man, how do I do that? Right? I wish I can get out of this, or if I can just change this or get out of this, right? We all kind of have these feelings. Or what about the past? I wish I wouldn't have done that. These just get us stuck. This is what gets us stuck in the quicksand, right? From a place of perfect freedom is a perfect innocence. See, your inner being knows that when you choose not to follow yourself, which is the supplier and the manager and the supplier, it is the provider of everything in your life, then you're going to fail. You have to fail because you're going to rely on everybody in your life for all your supplies. And how can you love someone and want from them at the same time? Sit with that. How can I want from you, but I also want to give to you? I'll give you the videos, but you've got to give me something back. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, how can we do that? It's a double-edged sword, literally. I just want to enjoy your conversation, but you better say this back or otherwise I'm going to get upset. You see, so we're in this case, this crazy situation. But when you surrender everything to your inner being, you know everything is coming from your inner being. Everybody is innocent. You don't need anything from them. You don't need to feel good from them. You don't need anything specific from them. In the past, if things didn't work out, no big deal. You can let them go. You can forgive. You can forget. You can stay in a place of innocence. I don't need anything from the world. Now, I know that's a big gap, but let's just sit with it for a second. That's the ultimate goal where we're going. Freedom doesn't come from moving around the world and trying to get rid of things and find something. Freedom comes from being where you're at and seeing it in a way that feels good, or rather seeing everything in a way that your inner being sees. Yeshua will call that Christ vision, right? That idea of seeing as the Holy Spirit sees, seeing the love and everything, seeing the joy and everything. Wouldn't you want that? See, as we do that, everything feels like it's flowing with us. It doesn't feel like it's against us anymore. So as we sit with this feeling of, man, I am so special. I am so loved and appreciated and enjoyed. As a matter of fact, that light is shining specifically on me. I feel like the most special person in the whole world. I feel like I'm the luckiest person in the whole world. I feel like everything comes to me. I feel like I attract everything I want. I feel like my inner being feels. Can you see the difference? Versus I'm attracting things versus I'm connecting with that part of me that already has everything. Feel the difference in that situation. One, going out for each individual thing, or two, just connecting to the whole. Connecting to the epicenter that has everything. And then now, this is the greatest thing, is realizing that it was always supposed to be this way. That we were always supposed to be connected to this part of us. There was no me trying to get. You see, just connecting to who I am, and now we have created the completeness of all that we are. You see? As Bashar would say, when you connect to who you are, everything flows. When you're just trying to find, even based on vibration, maybe I can attract this. I'm a great magnet. Then we're losing that essence of all that we are. Your inner being wants to be a part of it. Can you imagine it sitting there going, I want to be with you. I want to talk to you. I want you to know that I'm here. I want us to be able to hang out, and I want to be able to enjoy with you. Can you imagine? Idea of we are hanging out. We're loving this. We're enjoying this. We're one with this. There's a bigger party that wants you to know that it exists. Isn't that interesting? It wants you to know that it exists. That way we can let go of this individual only part and finally surrender to the whole. The one is the all, but the all is also one. That way we can all come together with that part of us. Forgive my passion. It's so important to remember who we are. Don't do it alone. Go find your inner being. Go find a way to remember how special and amazing and wonderful and extraordinary and magnificent you are when you are connected to who you are, and how small and guilty and contracted you are when you're not. And those are the only two decisions that there will ever be. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Thank you so much. Once again, I am doing one-on-one Zoom sessions. If you want to contact me, feel free to send an email to me. It's thewayofkungfu75@gmail.com. Especially when it comes to aligning with your inner being. Now that we know it, how do we align? It can be a little tricky, but I do have some things that I can share. And if you like this video, hit the like button. And as always, definitely subscribe if you haven't already. And my unconditional love and appreciation. We're all in this together. Thank you.